We have Professor Lale Tanner, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, is here as a member of the Erie Education Department. She was born in Izmir, graduated from the American Collegiate Institute in 1984, and from the dental faculty of Gazi University 5 years later. She received a doctorate in orthodontics in 94 and became a professor in 2008. Works as a full-time professor at the Department of Orthodontics, dental faculty of Gazi, has been head of the department from 2019 to 21, also in charge of the Department of Orthodontics, dental faculty at Cyprus University of Health and Social Sciences as head, gives lessons on body language to Gazi University students and body language and patient communication in dentistry to dental students, besides the undergraduate, postgraduate courses she also teaches, working as a member of many committees at the dental faculty at Gazi, executive board, social activities committee as head, and faculty fund committee. She has many publications and presentations and has given a number of lectures to dental students and assistants of ortho at dental faculty, Aristotle University in Greece. In 2007 as part of the Erasmus Exchange Program. She speaks advanced English as well as French, gives conferences on holistic life and awareness, stress management, and success to a number of organizations. She's working on holistic therapies for groups and personally concerning complementary medicine. Professor Dr. R. Lale Tanner has invented what is known as Natural Hermetic Healing System, NHHS. By herself, it is a system of healing DNA and RNA and awareness, which she applies to a number of sessions. The title of her presentation is From Oneself to Integrity. Professor Tanner, thank you.
Thank you for this introduction. Dear colleagues, dear participants, let me share my presentation first. Okay. Now I'm going to speak about how we can relate this oneself to integrity and how we can develop this relevance to integral education. I'm sure every one of us, sometime in our lives, have some questions in mind which arise or prompt just in 1 second or so. And we start to become aware of things that a little bit disturb us, a little bit arise question in us, and we start feeling a little bit anxious. And these questions then lead us to search for things. And this is how science actually began one day. We as human beings have our desires, our thoughts, our feelings, which can be formed or changed according to how we live, what we live, who we encounter with, how we get educated, and our circumstances and our environment, of course. So we can say that all our desires, lifestyle, our experiences are a result of these inner forces and outer forces, which we are going to talk about a little bit. Now, what these lead us, or these teach us, or actually we believe they teach us, is that they give us a guidance. And we believe this guidance just lets us flow with the life that we live in. But then comes a moment and we see we are not floating. We are just stuck. So we begin to search for the reasons. Why are we feeling that we are stuck somehow, somewhere? Let's speak about what we feel and what the society feels and what all humanity feels. Can we distinguish between these? Yes, we can. We need to understand the human being's features, but can we relate these to the society? Sometimes we can, and sometimes we cannot. How can we define ourselves or try to understand more about ourselves? We just need to observe each human being and what happens around us. And we just need to perceive all the data that is given to us in our lifetime. Actually, we get this data from our families at the very beginning, and then from schools, from the education that we get from our teachers. We really get inspired from our teachers. We all know this. So we get into integration with maybe friends, maybe just neighbors. And then we come to know more and more by social media. We go through the internet and we get many, many information, sometimes false, sometimes true. We try to communicate. And once we try to communicate, we come to a point and see that we cannot. Or we think we can, but when chaos begins, or there's some kind of a debate and we never come to a solution, then we understand and questions rise again. And we see that the person, not me, the person that I'm trying to talk to is making judgments, but I'm not. And this is my prejudice, of course. Within the notice of all these details, we try to raise our children and we try to have them the best education they can. And we try having our children and ourselves to realize what is happening all around us. Why do we have this chaos in the world that we are living in? So we begin to just look a little bit differently, trying to understand more. This makes the impressions, this forms the impressions of our lives, and which lead to our characteristics. Now, perception and empathy play a very, very important role in this concept because we perceive the data that I'm talking about. We perceive what is going on around us, what has been given to us, but we perceive it according to our own feelings, according to the situation we are in, according to our interference with others, experiences. What about the others? The others that we are trying to deal with or communicate with, they also perceive according to their own impressions. And therefore, sometimes we have conflicts in between us. In order to overcome this conflict or diversity, we have to have empathy. Empathy to try to understand the features of others. And there are many factors within a lifetime that can affect these features. The way we are brought up, even the economical conditions of the society that we just were brought up. Of course, all of these give us an inspiration, and we try to act, judge, or live according to these. So can we say that there is a relationship between us and the world? Or is there a relationship? And if there is, what is it? We are seeing that we are what we are ready to see, what we are meant to see. We eliminate and ignore anything that is not part of our biases. So we speak about a reality, and this reality that we speak of is something that we see, we perceive, but does the one that is just in front of me, or you, do you perceive the same thing? Do you see the same reality? Everything is part of a single system called nature. Now, we are almost aware of a single system. It has been talked about years and years now that there is a system that we live in, and we have to get adapted to that system. They sometimes call it nature, sometimes call it the upper world, sometimes call the upper soul. There are different topics that deal with this. But philosophers say that since everything is interconnected, reality cannot exist except from a single source. So this gives us the clue that there is some kind of an interconnection with the environment that we are living in, the world, and what is called reality. Nature has its own laws, and these laws do not change. Science has just proven, meaning there is evidence-based data now, we all know, as the results of the research is done, there is a reaction to every action. And similarly, every result has a reason. So what we see or what we observe is the result, but it has the reason. Do we really understand the reason? That's the harder part. Because these reactions and results we can just deal with, we can just observe, we can just live with. But why we leave these as they are, they come from the upper and more detailed nature, the laws. Nowadays, we feel this chaos. We feel a more and more need of understanding, trying to understand the results, searching more for the reasons, because we are being pressed, pushed internally and externally in this world, in this chaotic world. We have flood, war, earthquakes. At the same time, many are victims, and nature forces us to acquire a new form of connection between us. This is the reason. Do we get to understand this? Maybe a little bit, but not much. So nature wants, with its laws, wants to show or declare some things that human beings do not get. Which means we may be victims as human beings in the end, yes, but were we the ones who caused or who just started this chaos? So maybe we should have another kind of thinking, another form of thinking. Are we just doing good to the nature, or are we just doing harm to the nature so that there is some kind of a pressure which leads to this chaos and gives us all this sorrow and suffering? So we need to just start question ourselves and the lifestyles, our lifestyles. And can we say that these lifestyles that we live in, we get our experiences from, they come from our education? We are somehow educated and we have our beliefs, but always remember that we have been educated from teachers who were taught and who perceived the same system. But there is a really global and grand system, and it is explained by the grand unified theory of everything. And scientists say that we are and all parts of reality are one whole. Were we taught this before? No. We were taught to be successful as individuals. We were taught to be the best of everything. But did we succeed in the whole world when we think about every country or every geographic place in the world? No. The answer is no. So then there's a mistake. And it says it's a mistake to separate the parts of the whole, to divide what should not be divided into parts. Harmony and integrity constitute reality. Then we can say that, start to think that there is some kind of a separation done by human beings, and this leads to the disharmonization of this integral system. Human being is part of a whole called the universe. We experience ourselves, our thoughts and feelings apart from a state of inactivity, a kind of optical illusion of consciousness, says Einstein. Now, then, after hearing this or seeing this optical illusion, should we maybe start to have a new concept of thinking? Maybe a new concept of action. The diversity we feel is just an image, it is not real. We have been talking about reality and its relation with nature, and then comes this illusion, which is not real. So what are we going to do? What are we going to believe in? Now here is the answer: integral education. Integral education will advance a person so much that it will not be difficult to learn any branch of science. What we learned all from nature. Physics, biology, chemistry, mathematics, science, all the researches, all the data within the researches have been drawn from nature, actually, this global system. But did we use the data that we got, the evidence-based data actually, that we got received from nature, did we use it for integral behavior, for integral education? No. Then there should be a change. And by integral education, the world as a whole and the general global system will be explained. And its importance is that integral approach accurately explains this world to the human being. So we need to question our education system and try to connect with this integrity and change all our view, maybe. Nature gives its elements to its environment rather than taking them from it. What do we have? In a scientific way, when we examine our body, we see that we have cells, many cells, which form the organs, and organs make the body and work correctly. So they make this contribution, and they just serve the body. The cells are programmed so to serve the body. We have atoms, which form the molecules, and these atoms just behave in the way that they should. They were programmed, and they have an altruistic nature. They have to change if they had the self-centered nature into an altruistic nature, because they were programmed to serve as molecules and to serve to nature. But we as human beings, we were not programmed in this way. We have been made, we have our DNA, our codes, and there are many, many different roles which integrate and form different features, many kinds of characteristics of human beings. And there is the free will, we think that there is the free will, which has been in us, and we can do everything in the world. We can succeed, we can destroy, we can construct. But is there this free will? If we think in the view of the self-centered system, then there is this free will to destroy, to construct, to do whatever we want and whenever we want. But when we look at this integral system or nature, we see that an atom or a cell does not behave in the way that it wants. It is not self-centered. It is just programmed to serve and to work in an integral system. And this is the altruistic means. We human beings have our ego, which is just in a diverse or opposite way to this, to nature, because nature gives, develops, produces. Our ego destroys, takes, and does not like to give, does not like to share, does not like to love. So there is kind of a mixing, chaos, and our ego is unique, as well as the uniqueness of the nature, but on opposite sides. Integral perception is natural, so then we should question our own perception. And it is the nature of reality that is increasingly emerging today, because we have started to question more and more what we can do. There should be some kind of a difference in or a change in our perception and the way we behave as human beings, the way we treat the world, the way we treat other human beings. So we discovered the desire to give and receive. We as human beings have the desire to receive. Nature has the desire to give, to do good. And there is a difference between the creation and the human beings in the way that we live, in the way that we create this chaos. But if we want to be similar to this creation, if we want to be educated in this manner, then can we succeed in just being the opposite way than we are? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We surely can. We have the capacity. We just have to do some things. How can we start? By pacifying myself to the nature and to the universe, to the creation, and trying to work, to think, to feel for the benefit of the creation, of the universe, of all human beings. Then we can reach this ecosystem and homeostasis. Well, we should be aware homeostasis is the natural feature of human beings, human body actually, and the ecosystem is the natural feature of nature. But what has been done in years, human beings just we have altered this, and all new spiritual healing methods have emerged, and we are trying just again to reach homeostasis. So we just made everything into a chaos, changed homeostasis, and now we are trying to reach it back. And the only way to keep this calm, to keep this lovely system that was given to us in the very beginning, is to pacify ourselves, to draw ourselves from the self-centered tendencies, and to be altruistic. But this is very hard, actually. Man can never have what he wants because the moment he has it, he wants twice as much. And when we get what we want, the pleasure is cancelled. So what? What are we going to do? We have a new desire then. Since we are egoistic, we are competitive. On the contrary, nature is in balance and is holistic. So how come that we can be one day nature-like? We can learn this. We can do this by education, by the integral view, and this is the wisdom of life that we should teach our children. And this is the way that we should educate our children, change the relationships with the environment, and start teaching in this way. And nowadays, this century is the time has come. We have to be in balance with this nature, and we have to act like nature, be in harmony with nature, and treat others in this way, so that we can again reach the interconnection that was the global connection and the interconnection that was present at the very, very beginning. If we want to be happy, we must make others happy, just as this higher power does. And nature, the upper power, we can call it, we are under the control of this power. So if we act in similarity to nature, if we try to understand, learn, and then if we teach in this way, then we can get integrity into integral views, approaches. And we are not creating anything new. Our job is only to eliminate what is hidden within us. It is already present there. We just have to come and see, go and see, and grab. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so very much. That was so beautiful. Thank you, Professor Tanner. So we have some time for questions. I'll turn it over to Ernest. Are there any questions from the participants or from social media?
I do not see at the moment, but I would like really to appreciate Professor Lale Tanner for this tremendous, really very, very exciting presentation. I don't know if you have the time, but I would like a very quick question. You mentioned nature. You mentioned the results. You have mentioned the action reaction. Is it a possibility to reach a level of equivalence of form? Is it an opportunity to reach a level of equivalence for form? I remember years ago, I read a book, it's called From Chaos to Harmony. You mentioned also the word chaos. And it was mentioned like a sort of a level of development from still vegetative, animative up to human level. Do you see at this situation, in the global situation today, what can be done in order to reach harmony? Thank you so much.
Thank you for this question. We just need to care for each other. We just need to think about not ourselves, but others, what we can do for this world, for not only for our children, but for others' children. How can we raise them up? How can we teach them the natural way actually to love and to care and be together, connect together, do together, be successful together, run together, and act together. Although we have diversities, although we may have different characteristics, we should have one aim: to create a better world. To increase, yes, our quality of life, have the ascent in the quality of life, but have it for everyone. Because if I feel better, that would do no good to any of you. But if we feel better or we live better, that will do good to all the world. So there is always hope, and these are facts. It is not only hope, but these are facts. We just have to change our aspects. We just have to change the way we educate our children. We just have to change the way we behave. And we should do it immediately, I suppose.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Beautiful. Well stated. Are there any other burning questions? If not, I want to take this moment to